Are you an athlete who struggles with fear? You've come to the right place then. I'm Kristen Ulmer and I'm a fear specialist. I also used to be a world-class athlete. I was called the best in the world at my sport for 12 years, which was extreme skiing. Now, prepare yourself because this is not a video giving you the same old tired advice on how to fight, conquer, overcome, or get rid of fear, because that is absolutely the wrong approach and it's bad advice. Instead, you're going to learn in clear terms a more productive way to experience this misunderstood emotion that you've never considered before, so you can excel because of the fear, not despite it. Let me tell you about my friend Michael. He's a triathlete. He loves the training, loves the purpose it gives him, loves the feeling fit, loves everything about the sport except the fear before a race. To the point where it was so bad he planned to quit doing triathlons in order to not feel the fear anymore. Here's the advice I gave him, which made all the difference. I see athletes dealing with fear on one of 4 different levels. As you listen, try and identify which level you operate from. Michael was the first one. 1, you fight fear. You know the language. You try to overcome, conquer, control, limit, manage it, usually by blocking it out. Maybe you take deep breaths, meditate, shake it off, or rationalize it away through positive thinking. Or maybe you train so hard you can just go into stoic autopilot on race days. And it works. It lessens your fear. You feel less fear. And so every single coach out there teaches some version of how to do this, besides me, of course, because I say the cons of doing this far outweigh the pros. The cons are, it's a lot of work to block out fear. You basically have to declare war on a primary part of yourself. And while you may feel that you're winning that war on some level, you can only get away with it for a few years, 10 years tops, before that war being carried out in your unconscious mind starts to become exhausting. And things start to happen that make no sense, like burnout, more and more injury that won't heal, depression, excessive worry or anxiety, and more, until you finally walk away from your sport like Michael wanted to do. This is the most common level I see athletes operating from with regard to fear. Probably 99% of you do this. And like I say, it works short term, but it causes a lot of problems down the road, to the point where we can even see gymnasts being burnt out by age 17, or athletes in peak shape who start to sustain injury after injury. These are the effects of fighting a war with fear, and I do not recommend this approach, even though everyone teaches it. The second level is made with a simple shift in perspective. This is what Michael experienced after we talked for a few minutes, and it kept him in the sport by helping him put into context his race days. He used his cognitive mind not to rationalize fear away this time, but to have a perspective shift whereby he recognized fear is an emotion to be felt in his body and that it's natural to feel it before a race. Everyone who does a sport feels it, no exceptions. And with level 2, here's where we start to realize the much healthier way to deal with fear is to let it run its course the way nature intended. Scientists have even proven the emotion of fear and all that goes along with it, the adrenaline, the cortisol, and the like, will enter your system. And if you're willing to feel it instead of ignore it, it will run its course, then be gone in about 10 to 90 seconds, and you'll be free of it in no time, especially once your race begins. Now, as nice as that sounds, and that shift in perspective saves sports careers, that is only the second level. And it still reeks of trying to overcome fear, of course, this time by intellectually recognizing fear as being only temporary. The third level is a giant leap then, where we actually start to enjoy the feeling and use it as a creativity and power resource to help us become better athletes. At level 3, you start this process by allowing yourself to feel it, like a rider feels a horse or a swimmer feels the water. To get there, start by asking yourself, can I feel the percolation of fear in my body? Here's where you switch from thinking about fear to instead feeling it, with the final step being you now breathe into it. What happens when you do this, a magical thing has happened. You are not in your head anymore, but rather in your body, where the sensation is felt. From this place, keep paying attention. Can you sense how the fear is making you excited, revving you up? Here's a cool equation. Fear plus breathing equals excitement. Now, I get that, especially if you've always tried to get rid of fear. Level 3 is a really big shift to make, but witness how it helps you come alive and be fully more present. Which leads us to level 4, which is the ultimate and very rare. I only see this in a small handful of athletes, each of whom are the best at their sport in the world. The second best in the world do not do this. Level 4 is you now no longer feel the fear, where there's still separation between you and it, the feeling, right? Instead, now you merge with fear. My word is you become intimate with it. Now, look at that word, intimacy. With lovers, what does it mean to be intimate? It's where you become each other. I can feel you, you can feel me, and together we are one. Intimacy with fear is the same, where you actually become that sensation, and that sensation becomes you until there is no separation. What does this offer you in practical terms? Well, consider Bambi. Bambi's eating grass in a field, and oh no, there's some rustling in the bushes. Fear shows up, and bam, he comes alive with fear. Together, he and fear search the bushes, and suddenly his hearing is better, his eyesight more sharp, and it's a tiger. So Bambi starts running. But if you look closely, it's not Bambi anymore, but Bambi merged with fear, who are stronger and faster together than apart. In my story, he outruns a tiger, of course. Then 10 minutes later, he's back in the field eating grass again, and there's no repercussions. There's no lingering fear, stress, or anxiety, no need for counseling, because the fear was fully expressed in the run. And Bambi, now calm again, not paranoid, not exhausted, knows fear will have his back and return again the next time he needs the extra help to get through a tough situation. Can you see, by merging or being intimate with fear, that's the same process that occurs when a man lifts single-handedly a bus off another man's legs. It's you plus fear equals sharper, more focused, and superhuman. Now, Michael, of course, isn't there yet, but he's watching, and so too are you. And you now all know you have a choice. If you choose the 4th level, for Michael, in a 6-hour race, certainly fear isn't going to be with him every step. But when it does show up, especially at the beginning of a race, by having an intimate experience with this uncomfortable feeling, he would not only have the burst he needs to get started, but as it comes and goes in his system throughout the rest of the race, in a natural, organic way, it will only help him tap into intuitive, powerful wisdom and energy resources with no lasting repercussions. So, to summarize, here are your choices. 1, try to control fear, and eventually it ends up controlling you, and that process will wear you down over time. 2, rationalize that fear is natural and best to let it run its course, which is a step in the right direction, but you stay in your head whenever fear shows up. 3, be willing to feel fear as a way to be more in your body, where innate physical intelligence lies, which is a much better place from which to perform than your head. Or 4, become intimate with the fear and use it as a focus and creativity resource for a more magnificent innate performance.